So what I'm saying is that how to we are going to go into the XAMPP. So 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 I mean, when you get to the local host, you're going to see this XAMPP. It's going to be part of your uh, file there. It will be there on its own. So click on it. So looking at it, you are going to see htdocs there. htdocs. So click on it. When you click on it now, my own, I've already written some projects inside of this instead of my XAMPP. So you are going to create a new. Just ignore it. Ignore whatever is here. Just your own is going to, what I mean is that your own is going to be smaller than mine. So when you come here, click on the folder, call it any give it any name. You can call it code, like we did in for our HTML. You can just call it code. Now every code, anything you're writing is going to be inside of here. Now inside of this ht dot is the server. This carries the server. So instead of this ht dot is actually our server where we are going to be writing our code. So you cannot write. So you can't HTML cannot PHP cannot work outside of the server. So instead of this XAMPP, instead of this place, since you have created, so I have created, okay, okay, this is the one I'm supposed to, yeah. So now make sure my own it didn't rename, so let me rename it. So it's going to be code. So I'm going to click out to save it. So this is it here. So now right click on it. Make sure you're close. So right click on it. You see this your open with code option. If you do not see the open with code option, if you see the open with code option, click on it, it will open. But if you do not see it, then go into your open your VS Code, click on the file. So click on open folder. So when you click on open folder, so when you click on open folder, you click on that your local disk. So you are going to see that your XAMPP there. So click on the XAMPP, click on that your htdoc, and you're still going to see that your code folder that you just created. So when you select on it, you select open. So inside of this space, this is your server. So this is where we are going to be writing our HTML, our PHP. So now another thing again is that you are supposed to, after installing it, you are supposed to have your you're supposed to have the XAMPP panel. So you are supposed to have the XAMPP panel here. So you're supposed to have your XAMPP panel here. So if you do not have it, you can just click. If you can't see it, you can click here. So it's supposed to be somewhere here in your recently installed app. So it's supposed to show here. So if you do not see it that place, you can click, still go down to X, look at XAMPP, look at control panel. You can just drag this icon out here, so it will show here. So this place, you just click on this your XAMPP. Now click on the XAMPP control. So this will come out. Now, like I said, PHP is actually written inside of the server, and I have already created a file inside of the server, but still this server cannot work. This code, whatever I write here, will not work unless you on your server. So this Apache is the name of our server. So the Apache is the name of server, so we need to start that server, so the server will start running. So next thing again we have is the mysql line. For the remaining 4 items here, we're not going to use this remaining 3, but this second one we are going to use it later on when we start talking about database. So but all you just need to tune on is just this first one, Apache. So at first the thing is on. Now you can go back to your code, so you can write something. So I'm going to close this. So you can now create your file. Now remember that we are writing PHP, so you create your file, not folder, file. So you can call it whatever name you want to call it. I'm going to say index dot php, then click outside. So the save. So also another thing I want to show you is that I want to show you extensions that I installed. So I want to show you some of my extensions. So I think I didn't show you last time. So I have this one. This one is for HTML, the auto close tag, because since you are getting into PHP, most of that your auto predict, whatever those predict that usually happen when you are writing HTML, is going to stop working here. So they are going to stop working in this your HTML. So that's why I installed most of all this auto close tag, auto complete tag. So another one, okay, this one is for my React app. So another thing again is this auto rename tag. So another thing again we have is the bracket highlighter. Now what is bracket highlighter does is that it will make, when you click on a bracket, let's say I have two brackets like this. So look at it here. Let me write stuff inside. So let me move the cursor. So you see, as I move the cursor out of that, let me say I have more than two brackets. So whichever, what it does is that when you touch one, it shows where they end, because when you start writing with all this programming language, brackets becomes a problem, because you don't know where the particular bracket starts and where because you're going to have many code. So you may not even know where this bracket starts and where the other where it ends. So with this, you can highlight the end, the second. When you click on this, you see that it's highlighting to the second one to show you which one is the second one. So if I click on this one, it highlights to show me the other one, the closing one. So I also have this other bracket in case the other one, because sometimes most of them get out of date. So you can just use any one. So this one again, code spell checker, and this one is not that compulsory, but what it does is that it actually helps me a lot, because sometimes you'll be writing, most time when you start writing programming, spellings that you normally know will start going out of your head. So you may be writing something serious and then you may misspell something. One of the biggest problems we have in programming is misspelling. So you may misspell something, and the thing, you may be going on your way thinking that everything is okay. Then when you check in your website, you find out that you just wrote everything wrong. So this spelling checker is going to highlight things that are not spelled correctly. So that is the job of this. So some of all these things I use it for other this thing. So this one is for HTML intelligence. So another one is the image preview. Very, very important. So this image preview, I use it. What it will do is that if you link an image instead of your code, it's going to at this side show you that image that you link. Because normally when you're writing code and you write image here, it won't show you that image that you won't know the image that you put there. But with the preview, it will help you. When you highlight on it, the image will show. So the image will pop out and you're going to see whatever image you put, or it will show it at the side here also. So another thing again is this one, it's not that it does that big of a job. You can just put it. If you don't want to put it, you can leave it. It just highlights text yellow, something like that. But the that is space. What it does, look at what it does. So you can see this rainbow color. That's just what it does. So okay, now we get to the main one that are related to PHP. So we have the PHP debug. So now this PHP debug, PHP intelligence, PHP profile, all of them, they are very very important. So most of them, the truth is that most of them I've even forgotten what they do, but I know that some of them, what they do is that they throw error whenever you're making mistakes. Like most time when you write something that is wrong, that is not supposed to, like you now, another thing about PHP is different from your HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. If you make mistake in your HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap, you know your code can still run. But when it comes to PHP, if you make any single mistake, it will stop the page from loading. The page will stop working, and it will show you that there was an error on your page. That's how the PHP work. So with all this intelligence, debug, and the profile, they'll help you check for errors, underline errors. Some of them I've forgotten which one does what. So, but they helps underline if there's an error in your code. So already, I think people already know about the prettier by now. So prettier is just used for formatting code. So it will arrange your code, make it look nicer. So okay, so I think this one is for text. So if you want to put it, your choice. If you want to put it there, you can put it again. Now another thing again, very important, this tab 9. So tab 9 and this Solanit, both of them are AIs. So you really need both of them. In short, especially this tab 9, it helps a lot. So what they do basically is that whenever you are writing code, if you are writing, it helps you. Sometimes it will help you predict what you are writing. It can help you write your code for you. So it will help you write your code. So you can even ask it question, like I already have it installed. It just works like your ChatGPT. So if I have a question I want to ask now, you just come here. So you can ask that question just like your AI instead of so it's just like that AI that you have instead of your text editor. So it helps you a lot. So another thing again, so I think the Solanit also helps fix whenever you even have errors inside of your code. The Solanit and the tab 9, they will highlight it or underline it. So you can even click and they can help you fix that error that you have in your code. Now why I'm showing you this, because like I said, this is different from your regular HTML, CSS you're writing. The kind of error you'll be getting here might frustrate you. So another thing again is this VS Code icon. If you don't already have it, the job of the VS Code icon is just, if you notice my own, you can see the moment I write PHP, you can see the icon there. So it just helps and puts icons inside of your code. So you can also check for other extensions, so they may help you. So I'm seeing another one because I don't okay, this one also I actually installed this one but removed it later on. So it's also an AI. It helps. I think the okay, I remember the reason why I remove it is that you have to pay. These ones are free, but you have to pay for this one. So I think this one is also good. This GitHub Copilot is also very good, but you have to pay subscription for it. So if you want to use it, you can still install it. So we have these other ones. I actually don't know what this one do. So you may also try them out. So you can also, most time you can just go check most of all these extension. They may help you, and also be careful to not install extension that may change your code, because sometimes the extension that you install will change your code dramatically, and you may not be able to have control of your code. So I think this code runner also okay. Actually, I forgot it. I don't know what this one. Okay, which just runs the file. Okay, so you can install this one also, this code runner. So it can be used for many programming language. So I think that is it for our extension. So back to our PHP. So So now, what can PHP do? It's very very important for me to also explain what PHP can do, because if I just go uh, writing code, you may get confused and get frustrated. So now, like I said, PHP is different from the normal HTML CSS. Now the job of PHP is, now when you get into a website, you have to register. So also when you go to Twitter, Facebook, so you have to register to enter inside of that website. Another thing again is that to post, that process of posting something, you find out that all those stuff are made possible by what about you. Maybe you have been creating your website now, you have been creating your HTML CSS, you find out that it is just static. Whenever you're using HTML CSS and your bootstrap and you're creating project, know that that project is static. It's static. It does not do any special, it does not perform any special function. It's just like your the previous one you just did now, which is the portfolio. So maybe you're just building that website to be just static, to show someone's identity in the website. So that's what we call a static website. So whenever you're creating a website with HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap, it's just a static website. So, but the moment you add it, the PHP, now you're now creating what we call a web application. Something like your Facebook, your Twitter, all of them, they're all web application, because now the website are no longer just displaying are not for just displaying any identity, but they perform functions they perform some function. Now, um in your that process to post, that process for you to post in Twitter, process to post in your social media, process to do some check things, or mm, register, or even your website even understanding that you're even in the website. How does your website, that process that your website understand that you just entered inside of that website? All those stuff are made possible by this PHP. So also PHP also so it helps you it collects information about the user. It collects information and store it inside of what we call a database. So now, activities that is being performed inside of the website, also the PHP also are the ones that record it and also store it wherever you want. Maybe you want to receive it. This, apart from the PHP, they have other programming language that also do the same thing. We have the C sharp. We also have the we have Go. We have other programming language, but I'm just talking the PHP is more easier, more simpler, more free. So PHP also can encrypt data, can encrypt your information. So it also can be used to control user access. Like you cannot access some certain now, for you to prevent somebody from, probably you are creating an e-commerce website, so you want to prevent somebody from just coming in and just or probably even you want to, let's say you are selling stuff, a digital stuff that someone can just download online. So you don't want that person to just come in and without registering. So you don't want that person to come into that website and just download that stuff. You want that person to pay first. All these are possible with the PHP. Same thing with your e-commerce website. People coming to purchase with their bank card, all those stuff. So PHP is not anything concerned. It does not concern design at all. So it's just to make your page work. That's what the PHP does. So PHP runs on different platforms: the Windows, your Linux, your Unix, Mac OS, ETs, and many more. So PHP is compatible with all server used today, like your Apache, the Apache we are using now. So what we are going to be using now is Apache. So it supports wide range of database. So we are still going to talk about those database in our later on class. So PHP is free, so it's free to use. So actually we're not writing PHP. I'm just this VS Code I'm using here is still I'm using the offline version. So what we are writing is PHP 8, not PHP 7. So even though everything is just the same, the difference between the 8 and the 7 will just be some little updates or upgrade. So most of them I'll be telling you as we go. Most of the updates in the PHP 8. So as we go forward. So okay, now let me also talk about another thing again, comments. So comments is the same thing with whatever we did in our HTML and CSS and even any programming language. So you can just now, but for PHP, a single line comment, all you just need to do is put your double slash at the front of the code. So not back. So put that double forward slash to comment it. By the way, I have not even started writing the PHP code here. So just like in our HTML we have a frame, you need to start with that your HT dot. In PHP we write it like this. You start with your less than sign, you have placed your mark, then PHP, you have started it. So if you want to close your code, you start with you close it with your mark, then your greater than sign. So all your PHP code can be written only your PHP code must be written inside of this place. Now another thing again, we have to talk about this last closing this thing. So we don't necessarily need it. You can just leave this one and just keep writing whatever you're writing. The only time you need this is only when you know you are no longer just now you are not writing, you want to add another another language, not programming language, maybe your HTML, maybe your CSS, whatever stuff, maybe you are writing any other language instead of this PHP. You then have to close it, then start writing that language. And also, yes, we can write other language inside of this PHP. You can also write the HTML inside of the PHP. So in short, you really need to use it. You are going to need to write all your code inside of a PHP file. So whenever you are writing creating a project, all of them are going to be written inside of a PHP file. So whenever you are writing it, you need to make sure you close the main PHP code. What you are doing is the PHP code. You are trying to close the PHP code, and then you are writing your HTML this side, or your CSS, or whatever other programming like that is not PHP related. So they are going to be written outside. So another very important thing is very important. Whenever you are writing line of code, PHP is not that strict. It's not that strict like other programming language. It is, but it has its own strict rule. One is that whenever you are writing any code and you reaches the end of that code, always end it with a semicolon. So if you do not put that semicolon there, it's going to throw a very huge error in your code. So it's just going to throw that huge error. So that page will stop running. It's very strict about that part. So also so still on our comments, so apart for single line comment, you can just use a double hyphen, or you can use a single the hashtag. So but if you want to use, you can use your CSS pattern for multiple lines. Whenever you are trying to comment on multiple lines, you can use a CSS pattern. But all this stuff, don't really need to do it. If you want to comment on something, you can just highlight on that stuff, and comment on it. Control forward slash, simple as short. So don't have to waste your time start looking for which one that comments. So just highlight on it to comment automatically. So also you also really need, I hope you have you are practicing your comments whenever you're writing code. Always put description so that someone will be able to understand whatever you're writing, because you may not need help in your designing in your HTML CSS, but you really need help in this backend, because there's a part where it will get confusing that you may want people to help you. So so it will always be very very good whenever you're writing something. Always put the comment there to describe what code you are writing there, what that code does, so that somebody can be able to help you fix it. So now let's talk about things instead of our, so things to know. So let's talk about the little items. We call them the syntax of PHP. So every programming language have their own syntax, but let's talk about PHP. Now for writing random text, I can, all this I'm doing, I can't do it. You see what it's doing. It's showing me on the line. That's because you cannot write random text in PHP. So you cannot write random text in PHP like this. So if I want to write anything, so let's say I want to write this hello world. Hello world. I can't just write it like this. So all we just need to do is, whenever you want to write any string, any text, or any write or whatever it is, as far as it's a text or message or any of them, you have to wrap it with semicolon, or you have to write it with a double quote or a single quote. So right now it's working perfect. This code is perfect. So you can wrap it with the double or the single one. So for numbers are divided into two. We're still going to talk about how numbers are divided. So but okay, numbers are divided into two. So we have what we call the integer. So we don't really need, whenever you're writing number, you don't really need to put the double, sure, you don't need to put the quote there, better single or double. You don't need to put it. So what you are saying on the right there is, remember what I said, whenever you're writing a code, always close it with semicolon. See, the underline red is out. So now we have two numbers. We have what we call the integer. So this is an integer. We call it, you see how they write it in int. So this is an integer. So now the second number that we have is a float. So what is a float? So a float, so let me start from the beginning. This text we call it, this text we call it a string, because you are going to see me call it string throughout our lecture. So we call this a string. So we call this a string. So we call this one, so int for integer. That's, you will be seeing only int mostly. So it is called an integer. So whenever it is a number, just a straightforward number. But whenever that number has a decimal point inside of it, so whenever that number have a decimal number, it is called a float. So it's called a float. So whenever you have a decimal point inside of that number, it is now called a float. So now we have what we call the boolean. Now if you notice, now this thing is predicting for me automatically right here. So is the AI that this thing is tab 9, the tab 9 AI. This one I told you to install, so it will help you predict. So we have what we call the boolean. So I'll see all this stuff. I'm just trying to explain it. We're still going to go into them in details. So the boolean is either true or false. So it can be called either true or false. Whenever I have true or false, they are all called boolean. So another thing we have is what we call a variable. Now we are going to talk about a variable. So a variable is whenever you have more than is sorry, a variable is a container that stores data. That's as simple as that. It's just a container that you create to store data. Now let's say, for example, in this string, now you have a very huge text you're trying to display. So, and secondly, let's say, let me bring in a bigger text. So let me bring in something like this. See, so format it. So I'm format it using the prettier. Okay, my prettier is not working. So let me just break it down. So I have this very huge text now. So now how can I move this text? If I copy this text now, I have written it here. But what about if I want to write this text again? I want to use this same text down here, meaning I will have to go back again. Sorry. So I will have to go back again and highlight it, and I highlight this whole text, copy it, and then bring it down where I want to use it again. You see that by the time I do that, this whole page, this whole place will be filled with only just this text. But now I don't really need to do that, so I'm going to remove this. All I just need to do is to do what? Assign this thing, that is, put it inside of a container. Now how we write that container is like this. We start our container with a $sign, then the name of whichever container you want to write. So that, so let me call it con. So this is a variable. So it's a container that you can use and store data. Now how can I put this inside of a container? All I just need to do is put the equals to. So this equals to is called the assignment operator. So it's used to move anything that is in the left. Always know how it works. You move whatever is move whatever is in the right to whatever is in the left. That's what the equal sign does. So it does not work like your mathematics that does the opposite. So now let me put the container. So let's say I create a container here. Let me put the container. So you start with the $sign, then whichever name you want to give your container. So let me call it container. Let me leave it at that con. So what I just did now is that anywhere I call this, I don't really need to be moving around with this big rich text. All I just need, anytime I need this text, all I just need to do is call this container. This container will output all this text for me. So now all this one we are still going to talk about it, but still on that still on this variable. So there are keywords or inbuilt keywords that you're going to see in PHP as we go forward. So those keywords are not case sensitive. You can write them in capital letter, you can write them in small letter. Anyone that is inbuilt functions, any inbuilt function, they are not case sensitive. When you can write them in capital letter or small letter, but whenever it comes to this variable, it is highly case sensitive. If you write this in the way I wrote it in small letter, and I come back and start calling something in capital letter, let's say I call it here and I did something like this, it's the same spelling, but these two things are not the same thing. So it won't see this. So always know that if you declare your variable with a small letter, always call it with that same small letter. So the moment you call it with a capital letter, you know you have created a new variable automatically. So we are going to see other keywords like the if, the else. We are still going to talk about them in our later on classes. So okay, now let's talk about how we view, because saying all this thing without viewing it is going to be confusing to you guys. So there is a way we are going to view whatever we're writing. So how do we view it? We use keywords. I cannot just copy parts and then start viewing it like the way. So I cannot copy parts and view things like the way we do in HTML. So, but you need to copy parts. When you copy parts, you go to whichever browser that you want to use. So let's come to this one. So I'm going to open a new tab. So in this place, paste that link. Now, if you look at this link, you see where this htdocs stops. Now from this S, highlight the remaining things and clear it, remove it entirely. So leaving only this stuff. Now at that point, that place, what you're going to write there, you're going to fill that place with what we call the local host. So that the server is going to run it. So when you fill it with the local host, you press enter. You find out that your code now, right now, your code, the page is now working perfectly. It's working okay. So the reason why you're not seeing anything is that, like I said, this PHP is not about design. It's mostly about making things work. So whichever thing you want to show, that thing is what is going to show. So right now I have this huge text. If I want this huge text to show, all I just need to do is we use keywords like print and echo to be able to output value so we can be able to see it. Print and echo. So these are mostly used to output strings. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use one. So I'm going to use the echo. So echo. So now I would say echo the, let's just echo this con. So let's echo the con variable con. Let me remove this. So echo the con, make sure I close it. So when I refresh, when I go back to my browser and refresh, you can see that text now showing. So whichever one you choose to show, that one is going to show. If I want this number to show, you can just come there. Let me remove this one. Write the number 425. That will be what will show there. So as far as that thing is what is in the echo, that's what will show there. So we have the echo and we have the print. So I know this might look a little bit overwhelming, but as you go forward, you start understanding it. So I'm just going to leave you in this part. So when we come next, we're going to dive deep into the into PHP. So, but is there any question? Any question? No question. Alright. Okay, if there's no question now, so one will come next. When we come next, we're going to continue from the variable. So see you in our next lecture.